Ciao! I recently flew to America from Italy and returned back this week. I flew from Fiumicino to New York JFK on April 24th, 2021, and I returned on the same plane May 17th to May 18th, so this week. The following video is based mostly on my own experience, and it's correct as of the time of recording. I bought my tickets through Delta.com, but ended up on an Alitalia flight. This is not a code share like many other airlines where you might have the US carrier taking you across one side of the Atlantic and then the European carrier taking you across to the other side. My check-in and regulations were all through Alitalia. If you're traveling back and forth yourself, please verify any discrepancies with your airline. Because I want to present information as accurately as possible, please feel free to comment below or message me privately if you want to discuss anything. We want to make sure that everybody else who's watching can stay updated for their own journeys. We are including the link to Delta's policies below in the comments, so you'll be able to see what's going on Delta, and they also have some Alitalia policies on there as well. Hey, so I just checked in at Reagan National. I'm headed to JFK to take the COVID-free flight from JFK to Fiumicino. I didn't have any problems at check-in. She just asked for my permesso because I don't have a return date, but otherwise if you have a return ticket, she said you get on. You just have to have all of your COVID restrictions, your tests and all of that stuff in place. And I'm gonna go drop my bag and wait at my gate. Ciao! If you're looking for a place to get tested before your flight in either direction, please feel free to list it in the comments. Hopefully somebody else who's watching this is from your area and can help you out with where to get tested around either of the two countries. Something that might work in your favor is that the testing center sends your test to the lab, and the date stamp for your test is according to when the lab received your test. Some people have been communicating that they're worried about needing their results within a set number of hours of their connection. So for some of you, this might be the magic that you've been looking for. Talk to your testing center to see if maybe you can get some peace of mind. My test in Trento was at 10 a.m. and my results were stamped that evening. My test in DC was at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and it was actually date stamped 3 a.m. on Sunday. So hopefully this helps some of you guys out. Hey, so I'm at JFK. I just arrived from Reagan National. So this information will apply for people who are connecting. I don't know what happens if you initiate in New York, but I am connecting here in JFK. They just sent me to B24. I'm going to the Express Spa. And apparently I'm gonna get my COVID test right now. So let's go for my second negative test. All right, let's take two. So the flight from JFK to Milan is being tested here in Terminal 4. I am on a flight from JFK to Rome, so they're sending me over to Terminal 1, and then I will find out where my gate is. I don't know if I'm in Terminal 1 or Terminal 4. So if you call the airline in advance, you can try to find out where you're supposed to test for the terminals, but because there are the Alitalia flights and the Delta flights and the code shares, a lot of people here are very confused. So I was sent to one place, I'm gonna go to the other place. Let's go see what happens. Ciao. All right, I came into Terminal 4. And now I'm going to get on the air train to take me to Terminal 1 and find out what's next. Here we are, Terminal 1, COVID-19 testing, and we're behind H, looking for a rapid. So just a little update. I came here to Alitalia because my flight is being run by Alitalia. I had to come to Terminal 1. There is a section in the back where they have the COVID tests, but if you're on the Alitalia COVID-free flight, you come straight to the desk. Do not go to the testing site. Come to the desk. They asked me for my PCR. They're having me fill out all sorts of wonderful forms. They had me fill out an app, and it's my understanding that I'm not going to have to pay for a test. So do not go to the testing site. Come straight to the Alitalia desk if you have a code share flight. Again, I took my PCR on Saturday in DC at a Kaiser Center. I had heard of people needing to take a rapid test at JFK. So naturally, when I got to Terminal 1, I walked over to the testing center. She told me that the test would cost $175. Delta had just assured me on the phone that I was free. So I marched on over to the Alitalia desk and spoke with a representative. She looked at my PCR and the date stamp, and she said that no, I do not need to retest at JFK. She said that a lot of people are paying first because they assume that they have to test before check-in. And I don't know if this is because you took a rapid test instead of a PCR. So again, I took the PCR. I did not have to retest at JFK. Please go straight to the Alitalia desk when you get to Terminal 1 to get the proper protocol for your situation. So I registered for my COVID test in Rome. Here at JFK, I only had to show my PCR that I had taken in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. My flight's today on Monday. And then I don't have to don't go over there. Don't go take the rapid test here at JFK. You just have to check in with Alitalia. Even though I came in on a Delta flight, I had to connect, so I had to recheck in, fill out all the forms. And also they give you a QR code to register for Fiumicino. So when I land tomorrow morning, I'm already registered to take my rapid test in the morning at Fiumicino so that with my negative result, I can skip quarantine. The representative has you follow a QR code to do the registration for your rapid test when you get to Fiumicino. Then they hand you 2 sets of almost the same form. So you fill it out twice and you have to handwrite this one. One has to be finished before you check in. The other one is a copy for you to hand over when you get to Rome. Even though I was on a connection, the agent took my passport and rechecked me in and handed me an Alitalia ticket to use instead of the one that Delta had given me at DCA. My agent showed me the sign with the QR code to register for the COVID test in Fiumicino. And this is my pro tip to you. Not all of the agents are telling you to do that second QR code. So there's 2 of them. You do one QR code, you get the set of paperwork that you have to hand in New York and in Rome. And then after you check in, right there at her desk, there was another QR code, which I took a picture of so you can see it. And that's the one that you're registering for when you get to Fiumicino to take your test. When we were in line at Fiumicino to test, those of us who had registered with the QR code got to skip the line and go ahead. All right, that was quite a process. I just did all of my paperwork, got through security. They're using the new scanners, which is kind of fun. So if you have the gray trays, you don't actually have to take everything out of your bag, which is kind of neat. So now I'm going to try to get something to eat and get on my plane. See you in Rome. So even with all of the confusion of getting sent to the wrong testing center, having to change terminals, having to fill out forms, check in, I was through security in under 90 minutes. So obviously the terminals aren't very full right now, but just so that you have an idea of how quickly things are moving, I got to do everything in under 90 minutes. I had learned on the flight from Italy that this flight does not serve any beverages except water. I'm not saying that you have to get drunk on your flight, but they don't even serve you a soft drink or a juice or anything, let alone alcohol, just water. They say that it's because of COVID, but we all know that every other beverage can be packaged individually. And all of the other airlines are serving other beverages. So I'm not quite sure where this rule came from, but just be aware you will only get water. Anyway, I think it's a bit shoddy. So I stopped off in the terminal and I got a sandwich and a beer. There are high-end shops there within Terminal 1, but there are no actual restaurants. They have sort of deli type kiosks, kind of like when you're walking through New York and you go to a deli, you can get sandwiches. They do sell limited beer and wine selections and lots of chips and snacks and things. For the food was bad, even by airline standards. You don't get a choice anymore like chicken or pasta. They just hand you a tray and that's dinner. In our case, we got about 8 or 10 little ravioli with not enough sauce to even cover all of them. And it was just cheese ravioli. It was microwaved. It was dried out. It was fantastic. We also had a piece of cheddar that had already melted and resolidified, 2 crackers, something that will absolutely never resemble tiramisu, and of course we got water. Breakfast was a joke. They just handed us a small individual, probably about this big, a little individual marble cake, not even a napkin, but you could get water, so that was good. Now, as far as masks are concerned, I typically wear a homemade mask wherever I go. It's multiple layer. I've already done the research on the fabric. Okay, whatever. Alitalia mandates that you wear an N95 or a surgical mask during the whole flight. So they asked me to change my mask, which I had a surgical mask with me. It was kind of weird though, because they don't provide you with one if you don't have it. And they asked me while I was already on the plane. So I don't know what they would have done if I didn't have one with me, but leave home prepared. You either need a surgical mask or an N95 mask, and they do not want any masks that have those little filters in them. So just be prepared before you go. Obviously, you're supposed to wear your mask at all times, except for when you're eating and drinking on the plane. And since there's not a lot of that happening, we had our masks on almost the whole time. Okay, I just got off the plane in Fiumicino, and this is the line. You have to either fill out the QR code in New York, or you have to fill it out when you're here. They're going to ask for our forms and do our COVID test. So let's see how long it takes. Now, when you get off the plane in Fiumicino, there is plenty of staff to guide you to the next point. The first checkpoint is to check whether or not you did that second QR code in New York. You will need the confirmation number that initiates at the end of the application when you're filling out the information. I took a screenshot of that. It also will come to you in an email. So just be aware of what your carrier services are and how you're getting reception. You might want to check that before you leave New York. And again, a screenshot is fine. They're just looking for that 4-digit code that generates through the app. If you didn't do that, you will be on the floor filling out paperwork. For those of us who had filled it in, we got to skip around that point and head on down the hall. After we were lined up in the hallway for about 10 minutes, we were let upstairs a few people at a time to the testing center. First, there are about a dozen booths that are set up where you present your QR code and you pay 20 euros for the rapid test. They have you hand fill out a piece of paper and they type it all into the computer. They give you the document back and then they send you to the next room. The next room is where the testing actually takes place. They'll take your form and your passport and then you get your test. When you're finished, stand back with everyone else and wait for them to call your number to get your passport back and your results. It's all annoying since we all arrived tired after an overnight flight, but I have to say it was very organized and efficient. After you get your results, you head to passport control and to baggage claim. And there are bathrooms and everything there if you need that at that point in time. We arrived a few minutes before 7 a.m. and we were the only flight. There's a lot of corridor space and a lot of roped off corral style areas to prepare for crowded conditions. I stepped up to the line at about 6:56 in the morning and I had my results in hand ready to head to passport control at 8 o'clock. I then cleared customs and the border check and was walking to check in. So I had my bag. I was walking to check in for my next flight at 8:20. But please keep in mind that I feel that all of the testing stations were open and staffed. And by nature of waiting for the test results, There wasn't really a line at passport control because you kind of end up staggering, but it does mean that if you're considering the travel time that you need to transfer to another flight or to go get a train or anything like that, 1.5 hours will need to be increased as things get busier this summer. Alitalia staff were giving head of the line priority to passengers who were on their next few flights to help keep them from missing their connections. Thank you for watching our video. I know several friends are traveling this week and are eagerly awaiting our update. We also uploaded a video from Fiumicino to JFK, and we're actually going to be doing some updates on that video, but it's there if you want to start checking it out. We will have an update on traveling and tourism in Italy next week. So please feel free to comment down below or to send me a private message, either adding to this conversation or letting me know what you would like to hear more about for us to cover next week or in the future. Thank you all for your suggestions. For those of you traveling, I wish you safe travels, buon viaggio, and thank you so much for watching. Ciao!